we have a real attachment to this place. We know our ancestors walked on this land, right? And we see remnants of that period every day. We can't escape it. And we understand the sacrifice that was made for us, right down to obtaining our own freedom and then demanding fair wages. And then our ancestors being able to buy these properties, and now they're falling into disrepair. If these homes, these buildings disappear, our culture disappears forever. It's very personal for us.
Hi, my name is Virginia Claremont. I am a community advocate in the town of Frederiksted, where I was born and raised.
My name is Claudette Young-Hines, and I was a resident of Frederiksted in the early 90s. I've been on St. Croix since '83. In my personal and professional life, I've been involved in a range of projects and initiatives and things in the town of Frederiksted.
My name is Colette Woodson Burgess. I was born and raised here. Went away to school, came back, and decided I was going to be here forever. I'm a member of the St. Croix Historic Preservation Committee. I'm actually acting as chairperson for the past year and a half.
I was born on the island of St. Croix and raised on the island of St. Croix. Spent all my years here except for when I went to college and law school.
We have the 8 flags. I always correct people, they talk about 7 flags. No. The Amerindians, who were here first, their flag has to be respected. You know, people use the word Arawak, Caribbean, interchangeably. The Kalinago were the first peoples of this island, Aye. And, increasingly people are acknowledging those who inhabited the land first. So this is Aye. The Kalinago were the people. And then you had the other 7 folks come. So all of those things, just imagine folks could come to Frederiksted and experience a little of the Danish experience, the French experience, the British experience, the Amerindian experience, the African experience.
In the Virgin Islands, we have a unique relationship with land. Land is their history, it's their culture, it's their heritage.
In terms of the ancestral memory that we have as people of color, there was no such thing as land ownership. You met the land here and you leave it better for your children. You'll read where people on the African continent, when the Europeans talk about we're going to put up a fence and own this, they were kind of laughing at them like, we own you, take it with you, That concept of owning what God created, in terms of our ancestral memory, I think is pretty foreign. Because of the history of enslavement, both in the upper 48 and here, property ownership is not something that kind of ran through our genes and we did it, and it's something we always did and we always had access to, okay? It wasn't until manumission or emancipation that people of color, people of African descent, could even think about owning a piece of land, okay? Massa might have let you work a piece of land, but it was not yours. Okay, and so the concept of land ownership and passing that land down to someone is a fairly recent occurrence in the lives and the ancestral memory of people of color under the capitalist system in the United States of America.
The value of land is important to Crucians because it goes back to the fact that we emancipated ourselves. I think in 1848, people realized that here I am planting cane, cutting cane, and this land that I'm on doesn't belong to me. So for me, I think in 1848, we realized the value of the land. Again, with 1878, with the Fireburn, we again realized that if we are working, we have to have something that we're working for, right? And something that we own. We were brought here to this land, and so it should belong to us, and we should hold it sacred.
Folks have connection to land. There are families that acquired property at a time where it was dangerous to do so and incredibly difficult. And their families have held on to that property over so many generations. We're looking at 5, 6, 7 generations of folks who are still on land that their ancestors were enslaved on and acquired that property through indentured laboring. When we think about the history and folks' connection to the land that their family has toiled on, they've raised generations, have connections to, it's very important that we find ways to protect that land for those that have ownership to it.
I talk about these major crises that happen on the island of St. Croix especially. I was in high school when Fountain Valley happened. And at that time, there was a mass exodus of people, mostly people from the States who came, that resulted in people who were from here, the locals, being able to purchase homes. So in that sense, I saw a change in subdivisions or developments where they went from mostly white to black. Then later on, Carambola was being developed and the condos were built. People were building houses. There was the boom that was happening, and then Hugo hit. Again, exodus of people. So we rebuilt, and then again, Hovenza closes. Again, the exodus. So those are the changes that I have experienced in my lifetime here. And of course, recently, Irma and Maria.
Heirs property in Frederiksted looks like dilapidated properties that are in ruins. Literally, they are falling apart because they have been in probate sometimes for decades and nothing is being done to them.
A lot of properties that do go into probate have been left to numerous individuals. There's some properties that grandparents or great-grandparents left to 15, 20 people. Some of them have disappeared. Nobody knows where they are, but they're still named on the property. So as a result, in order to initiate a probate, you pretty much have to find most of these people. So it's an involved process. It's expensive. You have to get an agreement from everybody as to what it is you're trying to do once you get it probated.
Because there are multiple owners, now they're all owning it as tenants in common, which means I have my percentage, you have your percentage, and we holding on to our percentage, but we're not participating or coming together to maintain it. So the property then, over time, it deteriorates. In our case, really, what we're not being honest about is they have actually gotten destroyed in the hurricanes. And after hurricanes, people just didn't have the insurance on the properties to repair and restore. And no one wanted to, I don't want to invest my money because I only own 1/10 of it. So then, as time progressed, properties just got more and more dilapidated.
The impact of Heirs property on community and economic development has been pretty severe. It's impacting our economic development, it's impacting our community development, it's impacting the morale of the people that live here. And then if you go from the impact of the morale, and you can go down the line to all of the other things that are associated with that. You just see the despair of the community and feeling like we'll never advance, we'll never become prosperous. These properties will be available for others who can afford it to snatch up.
My vision for St. Croix is that we will become a place where we are more hopeful.
When I look at a lot of these properties, I see places where people once lived. I remember the families, I remember the businesses. They're not ruins, they're homes. It belongs to somebody, they have history.
Property should be used for its best purpose. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean development. You know, best purpose could be a nice park, or it could be a hotel. Sitting there all these years, those properties are not being used for the benefit of anyone.
It's an incredible opportunity for us to protect and promote. We talk about preserve, promote, and profit. Preserve the history and the culture and the environment, promote it, and profit.
From my standpoint, I don't really think we should leave these kinds of issues up to our government. I think the community change happens from a grassroots level, and that it needs to be informed by the people. We have very unique needs in the Virgin Islands that doesn't always translate to the mainland, and things that are happening in the mainland. We need to be engaged in the process of change. Our voices need to be heard.
So my vision is that we have development, not simply growth, and development with such care and respect for the culture, for the environment, for sustainable economic development, and for respect that for those that are met here and for those who choose to make this their home. There's got to be mutual respect.
I think that there's a space for philanthropic organizations to help us change the face of St. Croix.
If philanthropic organization then decides we're going to invest, and I want to say particularly into nonprofits to do this work, there is almost an immediate return on their investment because we're a small community.
One of the main goals of the Historic Preservation Commission is to see these derelict buildings, as they're called, derelict, but buildings that are in a state of disrepair, that they be returned to their glory that they had back in the day.
Oftentimes we are left out of, for instance, if you're a philanthropic organization, they tend to give money mainly to the mainland, and the territories are excluded, and so there's a whole area of funding that we can't access. I would just like to see investors change their way of thinking as they relate to the territories. There's more to us than just, sun, beach, and sand. We have high rate of poverty here. We have food insecurity here. We have, transportation issues, structural issues, systematic issues. So, just think in terms of there's a whole group of individuals, 3 million of us, that are being left out of the conversation.
For the housing and housing finance systems, it's important to create products and funding sources for housing rehabilitation, for housing construction, for housing rehab that don't require a legal clear title. We have to consider the barriers that exist for residents in the territories, for example, in St. Croix, even without property title issues. Because if we are to, for example, say the pathway forward is to resolve title issues, clear titles, get folks through the legal process, well, then they're still going to face barriers in accessing the housing finance system because of the lower presence here on the island. So it's important to take the experiences here, the insights of local residents here back to our national partners so that they can really investigate how they can expand their reach to support the territories, example, here in St. Croix.